Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Preimesberger, editor of eWEEK. Thank you very much for joining us today on this latest segment of eWEEK eSpeaks. This is a series of conversations, informal conversations, with IT thought leaders from all over the business of technology. Our interviewee today is Ori Keren, and Ori is the co-founder and CEO of LinearB, and he's speaking to us today from Israel. Welcome, Ori.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Tell me, I'm curious where you got the name LinearB.
Yeah, it's actually a nice story. So LinearB is a name of a script language that was discovered in the Mediterranean Sea. And they actually were able to trace it and match it to the Minoan culture, which was kind of the first link before the Greeks. This is like 3,000 years ago. And when they decipher their script, the script and the font, they were able to discover that this civilization was very advanced. You know, there was gender equality and a lot of concepts that weren't like popular back then. So we like that story about how if you can translate between engineering and business in our case, a lot of wisdom can be withdrawn. So this is the origins of the name.
That's cool. Wisdom and innovation too, I would hope. Tell me a little
Yep.
bit about your background and at the high level what LinearB does.
Yeah, so LinearB, we're two founders. Myself, I'm Ori Keren, I'm the co-founder and CEO, like you said, and my partner is Dan Lyons. Both of us were VPs of R&D, VPs of engineering at our past. We had the opportunity to take startups, from the first couple of team members up to 100 engineers. And we experienced that pain, and LinearB was, we built LinearB to help, the next generation of engineering leaders to be data driven. And actually, in 2019, this is where we started LinearB. We had a first great product that was about that, to help those leaders from not seeing data, not seeing anything, and gave them visibility, which was great for them. And we had like 10 or 15, design partners and customers back then. And they came back to us and they said, this is really cool. We can understand what's happening now, but you know what? We want the next level. We want you at LinearB to help us, not just show us where we have issues, but also help us remediate it, help us, act on the data. And this is how, we came up with the concept of software delivery intelligence. And this is the next phase of our company.
I love the way intelligence is making its way into so many different apps. A lot of apps we don't even know have intelligence in them to help us use them and help us be more productive. If you're a software developer, man, I remember back when I started in the IT journalism business, we had software cycles that were 6 to 12 months to get a piece of software out, and there were different QA, sections there and testing and all this, getting bugs out. By the time the software came out, it was like obsolete almost. I'll tell you, agile development has really been something, and that's what you guys are all about. But you're also about LinearB is also about observability, is it not? And how does that play into this whole process?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I actually loved the intro that you make with the agile. Agile was this super important phase in the evolution of software development. It kind of helped iterate faster, like you said. And then there was, I think, 2014, DevOps started. It solved another big pain, like how do we ship software? What we see in 2020, 2021, that it's time for what we call software delivery intelligence, which is the next phase. And it actually includes observability or visibility, which is the first thing. So software delivery intelligence, basically what it does, it helps teams accelerate their delivery. And the way it does, so it connects to all the dev pipeline. So how you code, how you commit, your projects, CI/CD, testing, all of that. It will give you the observability piece, which is super important, but it will also give you two other things: context, because the data in the engineering space, in the development space, is super interesting. You could have like a project that is stuck, but it's an experimental project, you know, something out of a hackathon or something like that, versus your most mission critical project that is stuck. So not all projects are created equal. This is why you need a lot of rich context into what is happening. When you see some problem, you want to see, okay, what does that belong to? What is the story or the epic that wraps it? And the third thing that software delivery intelligence will give you is the piece that we talked before, act on the data. So it will give you workflow automation. So not just, you know, waiting for, you know, you talked about 6 or 8 month, you know, cycles. Now even 2 or 3 weeks of cycles for improvement are not enough. You don't want to wait for the retrospective. You want in real time to know when something is stuck, and you want to get an alert on it so you can act on it. So that's in high level, like how would I define software delivery intelligence.
Yeah, that's software development on steroids, isn't it? It's pretty amazing. Let's see, you also are a big fan of the open source community, as I am. And are a lot of your customers, the developers that use your platform, are they independent software developers, or are there quite a few within corporations that are using it, or is it a mixture of both?
It's a mix, and it's a great question. When we designed the, you know, SDI, software delivery intelligence, and our product, we had both in mind. And one of the most important principles that we had is, how do we make it dev first, with a dev first mindset. So if you think about it, the cultural evolution of those tools were, like we said before, there was no data. If you would speak to somebody 4 or 5 years ago about, let's kind of measure what's happening inside the dev pipeline, you would still hear answers, no, it's an art, you can't measure it. Now, I think we've passed this phase, and, you know, having metrics is, both for open source projects and to something commercial, it's table stakes, you gotta have it. But the third level, I think the early version of those tools were kind of, let's give the CTOs or the VPs of engineering some dashboards that they can understand what's happening. And this was nice, it helped improve, but SDI kind of takes it all the way. It believes in their first approach. So we want the data in the developer's hands. We want the insights in the developer hands. We want to ask them what will make them more productive. And so SDI is kind of like dev productivity with dev first mindset, and this is why it's very suitable also for open source project as well.
Yeah, very good. For some of the readers who may not know much about this, you know, the automation and the huge help that this platform gives developers, can you offer an example, maybe one use case example that would stand out to help illustrate what it does? I would appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my favorite example is, there's this super metric that is called cycle time. A lot of like the people in the industry are familiar with it. Basically what it does, it measures how much time it takes from when we commit code, when we start coding, until, you know, somebody picks it up for review and reviewing it, and it's merged to the main trunk. And then if we have CD, it's released right away. But if we don't, it's waiting a bit until. So all this process, like measuring from commit to production, is called cycle time. Right. So one of the cool things that engineering metrics, you know, first generation of engineering metrics tools did was, okay, it showed you this is your cycle time. And by the way, just showing you your cycle time improved it by 25%. So if your cycle time was 4 days, it became 3 days, which was very important. But what SDI does, it takes it to the next level. So if we look at this use case of cycle time, if, for example, a pull request that's related to the main story, the success criteria of the iteration, is waiting over X, like let's say 2 hours, and the team can configure it, an alert goes out to the relevant developers, and the system kind of learns who are the relevant developers, and it says, hey, can somebody pick it up so we can merge it faster and we can get it released? And this is how SDI kind of works for you and not just wait to show you the data. And what we've seen that customers that deploy SDI all the way, they shorten their cycle time even by 50% more. So we started with 4 days, went to 3 days. Now it's 1 day and a half, and they very, very elite, companies. It's within hours from commit until you release.
Yeah, that's astounding. Based on the history that I know of software development and anything, it's great. So, so you've got about, you mentioned that you have about 1,400 paying customers at this time, right? And then you've got like hundreds of thousands of downloads of the free version of this. There is a free version of this, and if someone wanted to try it out, check it out, where would they go to find it?
Yeah, they go to LinearB.io, where we provide this. We have 1,500 teams that are using it for free, and we have, of course, paying customers as well. And they can go to LinearB.io and just try it. If you are a team of under 8 people, you can use LinearB for free forever. It's not a trial version; it's a freemium version with all the features said, by the way, not limited. Maybe a little bit around the data retention. And this is why it's out there, because we believe that every team should have this superpower in their hands. So LinearB.io is where to find it.
Oh yeah, thanks for correcting me on the numbers. I got that wrong. Tell me, I mean, the company's only been in business for going on your 2nd year now, really, and you're experiencing growth right away, and you've attracted investors. Can you tell us a little bit about the VC investment that you just engaged with recently?
Yeah, so this is actually something that we're going to announce publicly on March 10. We just secured the Series A funding. We got $16 million extra. We had Battery Ventures. They led the round, which we're very happy to partner with them. They were joined by Tech Aviv Founders Club and the existing investors, 83 North and Ariel Meisels, who were like an early angel investor. So those $16 million brings our total funding to $21 million. The growth that we've seen, customers like cool startups like Appcues, Clubhouse, Axonius, Big Idea using scale-ups, and even like unicorns are using LinearB. So all of that momentum caused us to understand that this is the right time to raise capital and double down on software delivery intelligence, and take it not just for the startups and scale-ups and the early adopters, but even to the enterprise. We have enterprise customers as well that are showing interest. So we believe it's time.
All right, I think you're in a good place right now. Ori, congratulations on that, and I appreciate you being on our show today.
Thank you very much for having me, Chris.
All right, for everybody following along to the end of our eSpeaks talk here, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your eWEEK. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.